Friday, June 28th. Welcome to Wake Up. Damon Bruce, Larry Krueger. Good to have you here. And Larry, what a bold move we have made for the first time ever. I know the Warriors or the 49ers said, don't call it 49ers Wake Up. Do you think the Warriors would tell us not to call it Warriors Wake Up? We will, of course, start with the 49ers, but we won't stay there very long because there's not much to tell you about. Nothing has changed, and there is quite a bit of Warriors news to actually get into. So that's kind of where we're going. Larry, good morning.
What's going on, man? NBA draft turned from a one-day deal to a two-day deal, and the Warriors, let me see if I can sum this up. They didn't have a first-round pick. They had a pick in round two, deep in round two, pick number 52. They traded it for a player I'd never heard of, and then they bought the pick back and used it on a college basketball center who shot 45% or 44% from three, who I also have never heard of. So there you go.
Okay.
They added two really, really exciting guys that nobody's ever heard of. But we'll see. We'll see. They might be good.
That's okay. Yeah, you kind of did sum it up pretty well. They traded out of the second round only to trade back into the second round. They included some money in that trade, which means they can no longer go over that second apron. So it feels like they sort of handcuffed themselves financially to acquire players that we're unfamiliar with, but conceptually could maybe fit the team. And that's where we are. For those of you, and I understand most of you are here to talk some 49ers, before we get into any details.
We'll hit it all today. We're going to hit it all. We're going to talk Niners. We'll hit it all.
Are you ready to hit it all? Oh, great.
We'll hit it all. We'll do it live. We'll do it live.
Open the damn gate, says Brandon Aiyuk.
Open the damn gate. This is my stuff.
We'll keep it clean for the kids. But yeah, Brandon Aiyuk's latest Instagram has him driving up to Levi's Stadium. And is that the day of the meeting? Is that the meeting drive up? Is that something else? I don't know. I don't think I care anymore, Larry.
Instagram Live, man. IG. He put it on the IG Live. He wanted everybody to see. And it's at this point, it's, hey, you know what? He's giving us something to talk about. He's giving us content. I'll take anything you can give us, Brandon. But yeah, he showed himself in his car pulling up to the gates of the 49er facility. And I would imagine it was new footage, right? Could have been from training camp last summer, I guess. But anyway, so he's in town. Brandon Aiyuk's in town. Does that mean that they're going to sit down face to face and get something done? I hope so, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, it's time. It feels like, they're getting closer and closer to reaching conclusion on this, or maybe they're not. Again, I am so sick and tired of the waiting around for the X marks the spot of this story. I'm almost angry at it at this point. It's time to just get the guy signed, worry about all the details coming out of the wash at the end of the year. They can put off financial problems and concerns for another day. Those are coming to town, whether you want them or not. So just get it done and go win the Super Bowl in 2024 after you go 17-0, perfect regular season. That's all we're asking for, Larry. It's all anybody's asking for.
I mean, here's the thing, though. It's like, you're right. It has lagged, and it hasn't gotten done.
Speaking of lagging, your internet connection is lagging. Seriously.
Really?
Yes, you're
not on my end, it isn't.
You're glitching.
Not on my end, it isn't. That might be on your end, dude. Because I'm not. You can ask the audience. I don't know. Am I glitching here? I streamed last night. I just ran the speed test. It was really pretty good. So I don't know.
Oh, someone says you're fine. Bacon, eggs, breakfast, croissant says you're fine on my end. Maybe it's just to my end. I don't know. Maybe it's just a backdoor problem. Either way.
Let me know if it continues, because maybe I could leave and come back. Sometimes that does help. But let me know in the chat. Am I glitching?
Well, everyone says you're all good. So maybe it's just backdoor glitchery is what I'm dealing with here.
Yeah. You never know. The beauty of streaming. But, the one thing you never know is you never know really, like, we could get all mad at Brandon or we could get all mad at Parag, but, it's like, It takes two to tango. I don't know. I don't know. And I don't know that we'll ever know, Damon, as far as like until I don't know that we'll ever get like an autopsy, to say, hey, you know what? The Niners super lowballed or Aiyuk super, he said, hey, I will not even listen to anything that's not north of 30 million. We just don't know who like dug in and basically said, we're not getting this done. But if I had to blame one side over the other, I would more blame Aiyuk from the standpoint of, it was reported by Ian Rappaport as late as February coming out of the combine that he was intent not to sign until the entire wide receiver market had clarified itself fully. So we're still not even there yet because there could be a couple other guys like Jamar Chase that could re-sign, but we think we're kind of there yet because the top guy, the ceiling of this market, Justin Jefferson,
right,
has signed, and
those other guys are going to resign, but not reset. But maybe Brandon Aiyuk thinks that the Niners consider him more to be like a CD Lamb or a Chase outside of the, Justin Jefferson market-setting talent that he is. So maybe he's waiting for those numbers to come in so he can take those numbers back to the 49ers and go, see, look what they're getting. That's what I want.
You know what? Somebody said Blood Moon. Do you see this one from Blood Moon, who's a regular? Blood Moon, good morning. He says, BA wearing a Pittsburgh Pirate hat while pulling up to headquarters this morning. Trade or deal happening? I didn't see that. I didn't notice that.
I would assume that the P just stands for progress on his contract. Not Pittsburgh.
Let me peek that video just one more time behind these scenes. Yes, looks like is indeed a Pirates hat.
It's all right.
Yes, I believe it's a Pittsburgh Pirates hat, or unless that's an ASU hat. It's hard to really see. It could be an old ASU hat that he had. But yeah, he's on his way to the Steelers.
I guess I'm sick and tired of trying to, dissect the cryptic messages in Brandon Aiyuk's Instagram account.
It's college all over again. It's it's lucky logger caps. I'm getting life is a day at the beach out of that. That's what I'm getting. What do you guys get?
Remember Snapple? Snapple used to put some inspiration on the bottom of its caps, right?
It's like the old bubble gum, the old bazooka bubble gum that had the comic. It was wrapped in a little comic. It was a great piece of gum right there. Chalky and sugary and terrible for your teeth.
You would have to you'd have to do some serious chewing on that there was like a little piece of leather before it actually started chewing. And then it's one of the ultimate gums that tastes good for about 30 seconds and then it's a disaster. Fruit Stripe, same kind of gum. Fruit Stripe.
Fruit Stripe is terrible.
30 seconds of Fruit Stripe is phenomenal and then it just all goes to hell quickly.
Yeah. Oh, seriously. And not only that, you put it in your mouth and it's striped, but then you look at it after and you're like, what happened to the color? It was all sugar and terrible. Yeah, it was that another kind of like the cotton candy of gums. It's there, and then all of a sudden, it's not there.
In terms of NFL news,
yes.
Again, there really isn't much beyond the business that is the NFL has a Sunday ticket case in front of it. Have you seen this, Larry?
I saw the headline. I didn't read the details.
Yeah, so a jury in this is right from the ESPN story. A jury in U.S. District Court ordered the NFL to pay more than $4.7 billion in damages. The jury awarded $4.7 billion in damages to the residential class and $96 million in damages to the commercial class in this class action lawsuit. And since damages can be tripled under federal antitrust laws, this could be about a $14 billion price point for the NFL. Basically, they have ruled that the league violated antitrust laws with the Sunday ticket. And it's funny, the bar that sued originally is the Mucky Duck in San Francisco. So San Francisco involved in this. The Mucky Duck sued, basically saying that the NFL has violated antitrust laws by making you purchase the entire Sunday ticket, not a la carte, just what I want to see, and being forced to then do it in just one place which is, the monopoly that DirecTV used to have, that our good friends here now, Larry, at YouTube have with Sunday Ticket. The lawsuit claimed that the league broke antitrust laws by selling its package of Sunday games at an inflated price. The subscribers also say that the league restricted competition by offering Sunday Ticket only on a satellite provider. The NFL, of course, is going to appeal all of this. If they do pay up, each team is on the hook for about $500 million. This is going to be a $450 million price tag to each team if this just rolls out like this. And of course, you're going to get the sky is falling. This will affect the amount of money that the NFL will spend on its rosters. The cap is going to go down if this happens. Like, there's all sorts of, NFL owners saying you'll rue the day should this actually ever happen. But, a jury has just said, yeah, this is an antitrust violation.
Something smells like a settlement. Something.
There will be a settlement.
I'm sensing a settlement. Will it affect the cap? I gotta think it's very unlikely. Wouldn't you think that it would be unlikely? Because what kind of financial impact would it take to impact a cap that also has many other economic factors?
The only thing
from the gambling money and everything else, it seems like
the NFL owners will figure out a way, if they do have to pay this whole thing,
to pass it off on the players,
to pass it off somehow. The profit margin will remain the same for owners. So if it's $450 million per team out, they're going to figure out a way to find $450 million over the course of the settlement. They will do it. Price of hot dogs are going up in every NFL stadium if this thing goes true. So, again, it's a big, boring business story, but how it might trickle to the business that actually affects on-field play in the NFL is to be seen, is to be presumed. Who knows? There's a lot of moving parts to any lawsuit and appeals process that is so galactically boring. We'd be idiots to talk about it any further than this, Larry. But that is also in the ether around the NFL, as is one more story. And I'm just going to put it out there because there's probably nothing harder on a family outside of, someone in the family being physically ill, hospitalized. There's got to be nothing harder on a family than having your house burned down. A friend of Jillian's had her home burned down last year while they were on a cruise. They found out that lightning struck their home and it had burned down in Texas while they're out on a Disney cruise. So in a way, it was like, God bless the cruise. They weren't at home. No one got hurt.
But is it San Francisco? In San Francisco, if your house burns, your neighbor's house burns.
No, this was in Texas. So, their house probably burnt on a plot of land, which means no one else was affected. They just, they caught the bad weather lottery ticket that you never, ever want. So their home burned down, and that is incredibly traumatic for a family. Everything that, every single painting or art project that your kid ever brought home from school, all of your memories, all of your belongings, all of your family heirlooms go up in smoke. This family did an incredible job. They took singed pajamas, put them on, and took a Christmas card in front of their burnt house. Like, they handled it as about as good.
Wow.
They handled it as good as could be possibly handled. And apparently that's the way Randall Cobb and his family are kind of handling it too. Randall Cobb, in a joint statement on Instagram with his wife, said that they are very lucky to be alive. Their home burnt down due to a faulty Tesla charger in their garage in Nashville, and their home burnt down. All of the Cobbs, his family, his children, his wife, and his dog, Larry, are okay. And that's good news.
Well, see, that's the thing, because, we just went out of town a couple of weeks ago for Kev's graduation, and, we have Penny, our golden retriever. Now, we've done different things, right? At times we've put her in a pet hotel. We've literally brought her to the pet hotel, And we've done a couple.
Use the pet hotel and the Bark Hotel or whatever it's called. We've used
there's a couple different ones, and they're kind of cool. I mean, you get like a video thing that's an app on your phone, so you could like, hey, let's watch Penny run around with the other dogs while we're at Disneyland or something,
Right.
It's kind of cool. But then there's been other times like this last time we didn't do that. We just had our next door neighbor kid, who's a great little guy, and we paid him whatever it was to walk Penny twice a day, and play with her for about an hour. So in that scenario, she stayed in our house and we gave him the keys. So if we had this exact same type thing go wrong and the house burned down, Penny would be burned down in the house, which would be absolutely tragic. So, sometimes these situations do involve, the animal, passing. So God, that would be tragic.
Cobb,
but either way, it's tragic. Wow. It's amazing.
Cobb thanked the Nashville Fire Department for their swift action. Says, I can't get the image of the brave firefighter getting into position out of my head. He didn't even have water to shoot yet. I truly thought the cars were going to explode and that we would lose him in this tragedy. I guess this firefighter ran in and saved the damn dog. That's incredible.
That's, God bless those firefighters.
Yeah. He wrote that he was able to get back into the house and rescue the family dog. Unbelievable. So yeah, that's scary. And by the way, it's not the Bark Hotel. Alex, you got it correct. It's the Wag Hotel. That's where we used to put Rex when he was.
We went to like Camp Bow Wow. I mean, there's a couple different ones. We actually one time there's a lady who lived out here in the East Bay who, she like had a business where she was like kind of watching dogs. I mean, she had 2 or 3 of her own dogs. She had a beautiful pool and a nice backyard, and it was almost like a little dog Shangri-La back there. And she had a little business where she would take people's dogs. It's actually a pretty decent way to make a buck. I mean, if you really think about it, if you already have a couple dogs and you're going to be home anyway, and you love dogs, and people pay pretty good money to put their dog in a dog hotel, or what I mean, have somebody come and walk it or whatever. So there's definitely some. It's not the worst way to make a buck if you like animals.
There is no end of spending that people won't consider to assure quality care for their pets. It's the truth.
Dude, you just came from Tahoe, right? I just saw you and the boys and your wife up in Tahoe. I have a buddy of mine who every year spends $1,000 on sending his dog to a camp in Tahoe. It's like a doggy retreat / spa. I think it's called a dog spa.
So it's funny that you said that.
It's $1,000. It's $1,000.
We saw a couple dogs, just running around in Tahoe. And I even leaned over to Jillian one time and I said, outside of being a farm dog, which has got to be the single greatest dog life there is. If you're a dog on a farm, it doesn't get any better than that. But
unless your owner is like a lifeguard and you're like hanging at the, up in the lifeguard hut at like Redondo or something all summer.
Right. Yeah.
Occasionally running down and, throwing
Maui
a frisbee
dog?
with some girl in a bikini.
Maui dog probably's got a pretty good life too. Yeah. No doubt. But farm dog, you get winter. Dogs like the snow. You got other animals. You got a horse to befriend. It turns into a Disney movie. Tahoe dog, pretty good dog life. Pretty good dog life. I gotta tell you,
I wonder, do they like the altitude? Do they like the altitude? How do they feel about the altitude? And there's a lot of lightning and thunder in the mountains. I don't know that they're very scared and skittish.
Right.
By the way, on the dog front, my sister, who, we didn't grow up with dogs in the house. My dad was a lawyer. We didn't have much of a yard. We just didn't have a dog growing up. And so now my older sister got a dog. We got Penny, before the pandemic. My younger sister got a dog, a little golden doodle. It's like almost like a stuffed animal. I mean, it's just the cutest little dog. They named their dog, wait for it, Bosa.
Oh boy.
If you had to pick a 49er to name your dog after, what are you naming your dog? You go first name like Brock? Come here, Brock. Brock, get over here, Brock.
I'm probably going Debo.
Debo? I bet you there's a lot of Debo dogs.
Debo or maybe Mooney.
Mooney?
Yeah.
Shanny? Get over here, Shanny.
I mean, that dog's got to bring home a title before we start calling him Shanny. Let's be honest.
I might go with Chase Young because after watching him in the NFC Championship game, I feel like it's inappropriate to name any dog after Chase Young because he dogged it. But the biggest game of the year. Bump.
I love it. By the way,
that's my dog, Chase Young. He dogs it. Come here.
Niners world.
He goes three-quarter speed. He goes three-quarter speed, and every time I throw a tennis ball, he trots after it at half speed.
Niners Worldwide is just evaluating what he's watched so far, and he's commented, "Big dog show." It's a big dog show.
It's a big dog show. Look at this one, George Kibble.
Not bad.
George Kibble.
Not bad.
There we go.
At all.
Charvarius. There he Charvarius. Oh man. We have a couple family members who have names that are like the number 2 or 3 most popular dog names of the year. And we had some fun with that last year during the holidays. Your name is more there's more dogs than people using your name these days. It goes from there. You want to see a holiday party blow up, just make that claim.
Yeah. Someone here saying they're my dad named his German Shepherd Bochi, Raider Luke. Bochi's a good dog name. Boch, come here, Boch.
Yeah, Boch. Get a beer. Get me a beer. Dude, my uncle lived in Chicago. He was a big Cubs fan, and he's no longer with us. But in his house in Oak Lawn, which is where I believe Jimmy Garoppolo is from, it's a south suburb of Chicago, near Arlington Heights. Anyway, where he had a home in Oak Lawn, and he had a downstairs playroom, and he used to watch the Cubs every day because they were only day. This is back in the 70s when they only played in the daytime, so they were always on in the daytime. And he trained his dog Snooper he put a cowbell with a rope on the second fridge out by the washing machine, and Snooper would grab the rope with his teeth, pull it down, and it would open the fridge, and he would line up the beers, and one would fall out. He'd put the beer in his mouth and run into the other room and bring it to my Uncle Art.
It's a well-trained dog.
Snooper. All he would say is Snooper beer, Snooper beer. And he'd run over there, boom, boom, boom. 17 seconds later, you're drinking a Miller Lite.
Beer in your hand. I like it. I like it an awful lot. If he's a Cubs fan, there's no way he's drinking Miller Lite. That's a Milwaukee beer. You're drinking old style. You're still a Bud Light guy. You're a Harry Carey Bud man. I'm a Cubs fan. I'm a Bud man.
Yeah, I think he probably was a Bud man.
Yeah, got to be a Bud man if you're a Cubs fan.
Well, you know what they say, Damon? 90% of the domestic beer in this country is consumed within the 5 Midwestern states.
Is it really?
Yes.
That's no joke right there.
Little old ladies in like suburban Chicago can put away 12ers on the front lawn.
Just crushing natty lights. Just
crushing them. Talking to their neighbors and smoking some Camels. Yeah, maybe not smoking anymore. Maybe busting out a vape.
They don't make old ladies on the liberal elite coasts like they do, if you will.
Seriously, little old ladies in the Midwest can drink you under the table.
No doubt. No doubt about it. I can guarantee you that not a single Giants fan ever named his dog Kapler. Not one. Not one. Do you think a singular dog has ever been named after Gabe Kapler?
Well, I don't know, but I mean, I'd be worried about the safety of that dog. You know, and do you oil it up?
The dog would have like a rose tattoo on its paw. Okay, so
it would. God, Kapler was such an absolute
preening schmo.
Yeah, I mean, is there anybody out there that misses Gabe Kapler?
No one.
I mean, I don't need that Bob Melvin needed to win any games.
Yeah, the Giants are better. Nobody misses them. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what the Golden State Warriors.
Well, I do have one Niner thing before, if you want to switch on one Niners.
Yeah, do it.
This is the time of year. Now, I always look at football, as you guys know, from kind of a personnel aspect, right? So, obviously, you know, I'm looking at the draft. As soon as the season's over, I'm watching the draft. I watch tons of college football. I watch every bowl game. I'm watching the combine. Right. You guys know me at this point.
We know your resume. Your resume.
I'm well established. I've got no life. But this time of year, I do what a lot of personnel people do is I start looking at depth charts and every team around the league and because you know the way it works. There's free agency, but free agency's first, and then there's the draft that's second. And so a lot of times teams, want to fill a need and don't get anybody in free agency, and the right guy doesn't fall to them in the draft, and the need goes unfulfilled or unfilled. And then other times you sign a guy in free agency, but the draft falls a certain way, and like you might have signed a receiver, but then the awesome receiver that you didn't think was going to fall to you does, and now you've got 19 receivers, and you're going to have to trade somebody. So I always look for who's got the surplus, that kind of thing. And this is an article that I read by Mike Payton in Arizona Sports. He says, potential surprise cut candidates for all 32 teams ahead of training camp. I wanted to see if they had the Niners on here or any Niners, or if there was anybody that was interesting that kind of aligned with my breakdown. Sure enough, he's got Elijah Mitchell. He says it wasn't long ago that he was bursting onto the scene, and now, the Niners have Garendo, the Niners have Cody Schrader, they've got Mason, they've got McCaffrey still, all these receivers. So that was interesting. But some other names here that could be interesting, guys that could be available either by trade or, by being cut loose at the cutdown this summer. For the Bears, they got Khalil Herbert, who's a damn good player. I mean, I really like Khalil Herbert. As far as guys that could fit the Niners, they say the Bengals may cut Joseph Asai, the defensive end from Texas. That would be a very interesting player to be put on the market. If you're the 49ers and you need another defensive end, that's an interesting name. For teams that look for speed receivers, they say McCole Hardman could get dumped again by Kansas City. For the Niners, who are looking a little thin at tight end, they're saying the Colts may cut Mo Alley Cox, their tight end. They got they've got Kylan Granson, Jelani Woods, Will Mallory, Ogletree. I mean, they got a bunch of guys, and they're probably not gonna keep them all. Couple other ones. Deuce Vaughn could get cut by the Cowboys. They say Jeff Wilson, the ex-Niner, could get cut in Miami. They added, they've got A-Chain and they've got or A-Chan, and then Mostert. And they drafted Jalen Wright. James Bradbury, they say, could be cut by Philadelphia.
I mean, the 49ers don't need another running back, but okay.
No.
Sure.
Yeah, no. I mean, I was just thinking of some big names. But then they also have the Falcons safety, Richie Grant, who's a really good player. He potentially could get cut. Another one of name of interest, because he's a Walnut Creek guy, went to Berean High School, is Isaiah Hodgins, the wide receiver for the New York Giants, who's a really big, strong-handed wide receiver. They're saying he could be out there. Izzy Abaconda for the Jets, the running back, they say could be out there. John Kaminsky, the edge rusher for the Lions, they say could get cut. A.J. Dillon, they're saying the Packers may wind up cutting A.J. Dillon because they drafted Marshawn Lloyd and they signed Josh Jacobs in free agency. That's kind of an interesting one. Juju Smith-Schuster, they're saying he's going to get cut by the Pats. So anyway, just some Joe Notaboom. Like if the Niners are looking for an offensive lineman, they're saying the Rams gave Notaboom a 3-year deal in 2022 to replace Whitworth, but now they've added some other players. He lost his starting job to Alaric Jackson last year, so he could be out there and available.
You're already looking at crumbs. Other crumbs.
Well, here's one that's not really a crumb. I mean, this guy I loved in the draft, and he's a De La Salle kid. The Saints, they're saying, who have incredible depth of edge rush. They signed Chase Young, you remember. They also have Peyton Turner. They're saying they may wind up trading or cutting Isaiah Foskey from Notre Dame, who's just 23 years old. He was a second-round pick in last year's draft.
Yeah, wasn't he just drafted and had a pretty decent year?
Yes. I mean, Isaiah Foskey would be an absolute answer for the Niners. They also say Seattle may cut Darrell Taylor, their edge rusher. He would be a great fit for the Niners. They say the Steelers may cut Dan Moore, their offensive tackle. He might be a nice little addition for the 49ers. So anyway, interesting article. It has a bunch of names in there. Those are the most interesting. I mean, if Isaiah Foskey, became available, or Darrell Taylor became available, those guys are absolutely every bit as good as Robert Beal and Drake Jackson.
Well, I mean,
and the Niners need edge rushers.
You'd have teams. There's more than one team interested in those guys.
Absolutely. But I mean, if you're like Isaiah Foskey and you're a Bay Area kid and you want to win a Super Bowl, and let's say all the money's relatively the same, you probably would sign with the Niners. So I know Isaiah Foskey showed up, Damon, for the Niners local pro day before last year's draft. So he came to Santa Clara. So I don't know. We'll see. But definitely this is the kind of article that I'm always looking for this time of year. And that there's some interesting names there for sure.
What's the article?
I sense a Krug show video.
If anyone wants to read the article, what's the name of it?
It is entitled. Is that how you search it? I guess the title. Let me see here. Go to the top. It says potential surprise cut candidates for all 32 NFL teams ahead of training camp. So just what you would think. Mike Payton, and it's in Arizona Sports. So ATO or ATOZsports.com is the website. So anyway, to me, that's interesting because I'm always kind of peeking ahead to see who potentially could shake out. But that's why, like, when people say, go sign this guy, go trade for that guy, you know what? There's going to be a whole slew of pretty good young and cheap players that you had good draft grades on that they're just going to fall through the cracks because that's the NFL. And if you're a team like the Niners or the Chiefs or Green Bay or Detroit, you're a Super Bowl contender. You can sometimes snap those guys up and just add them for nothing. So we'll see. It'll be something to watch for this summer.
There you go. So there is your not a lot of 49ers news, Niners news. Again, we're flirting with disaster by putting a Warriors-based thumbnail on top of Wake Up, but that's the news that Kevin decided was the most important news. And I tell you, I got to agree with him. This is a young man gallivanting around Europe with his girlfriend. He's feeling inspired. Larry, our mugs keep making the Wake Up thumbnail. And so did Paul George's. And so did two guys that I guess you can call, well, I guess it's not a draft class, but these two names sound like they would be looking to get into the Phoenix Club at Harvard, much less guys who are added to your basketball team. Quinten Post and Lindy Waters III.
Lindy Waters III.
These are the two.
Speaks of family money. Reeks of family money.
Absolutely. These are the
I'm
two.
Larry. I'm Larry Krueger the ninth, and this is Damon Bruce the eighth. And we're here.
Hello.
Hello.
Quinten Post.
My grandpappy named me.
All right, stop it. So look, what happened was there were some maneuvers before the picks were made, which I think left everyone kind of scratching their head. SF Gate, our friend Alex Simon, signed it up well. He said by the time the 52nd overall selection happened, the pick the Warriors had traded away ended up being traded a few times and then ended up with the Warriors. So they traded out of the second round only to trade back into the second round. And in that trade, they also acquired a player who's played a small role for the Oklahoma City Thunder, Lindy Waters III. He spent 4 years in Oklahoma City. He's appeared in 104 games. He's averaged 5 points, got a reputation for being a little bit of a shooter. But again, if he were that important to winning, the Oklahoma City Thunder probably would have found a way to give him more time. But he is a 26-year-old experienced NBA guard who is now joining the Golden State Warriors. To what extent, we really don't know. Quinten Post is the draft pick out of Boston College. He's 24, which I like. We continue to see Mike Dunleavy drafting more mature players, not taking the ultimate upside risk. I don't know how much ultimate upside risk you find in the second round, but he's leaning into developed, older, more mature players. And at 24 years old, Quinten Post is a 7-foot-tall big man who's a stretch five and shoots 40% from downtown.
Yeah. And
the only thing I can tell you is that conceptually, that's a great fit for the Golden State Warriors. If you ask me what they needed a stretch five. They needed someone in that front court who could get out of the paint and pull some defenders with him and be a legitimate threat from distance. And if he is that, Hey, there could be minutes waiting for him next year. Conceptually, I like him. But I'm not going to pretend I know the player and familiar with the player or that he looks like an athlete on the court. He doesn't. He looks kind of like a big plotting guy with a set shot.
Well, that was like my question for you. It's like, is this kind of the modern? I mean, is a guy who shoots 40-something% from three, who's a big man, 7-footer in this case, is that like all you need to know? I mean, it's like in this era where they play, pace and space, and the floor must be stretched, and you got to draw Anthony Davis away from the bucket, and how you do it is by playing a big man who can shoot the three and then parking him at the 3-point line, spreading the floor, keeping the floor spread. Can you have a bunch of holes in your game? Can you not be a rim runner or a shot blocker or have much offensive game down low or have any mid-range game? Can you just be a 7-footer who can make 44% from three? Because I think it's not just 40%. It might even be like mid-40s. This guy might be like 44, 45.
This guy fits the Warriors conceptually the way that Dario Saric was supposed to fit the Warriors conceptually. Big guy, stretch you out, pull you out to the perimeter instead of playing on the low block. Like that's what they're hoping he turns into, right?
I think so. I mean, and it's funny. I did spend a little time last night because I'd never heard of the guy. And I watched him, and you first watch the first couple minutes, you're like, damn, this guy's unimpressive as far as athleticism. He just doesn't look like an NBA athlete in any way, shape, or form. But then you look at that shot falling, and you're like, whoa, hey, this guy can really shoot the rock. He kind of reminds me of, and I don't know what his disposition is like. This guy, I'm comparing him to the ultimate heel in NBA history. But I see a little bit of Lambeer as far as just 7-footer, kind of a little awkward, but there's some fire there. Lambeer was fiery, and Lambeer had a really nice 3-point shot for especially back in the day when nobody really took that shot. This guy looks a lot like Lambeer, kind of an under-athletic big man with just a beautiful, beautiful deep stroke.
Well, look, in ACC
good
play,
for them. Maybe they found something.
In ACC play, he got 17, 8, and about 2 blocks per game. So if you're averaging 2 blocks per game, you either at least had to know how to get in front of a shot and use your size, or you're a little bit more of an athlete than the rest of the tape actually shows. Can he stay in front of guys? Can he play switch on defender basketball? I don't know. I'm not going to pretend that I know anything about him other than the little bit of research that I did after the pick was made. He wasn't a name that I talked about. He wasn't a name that I saw linked.
What? You weren't talking Quinten Post in your house with the wife and kids?
Ozzy, come here. Daddy wants to tell you about
Honey, what's for dinner? Let me just tell you about this Boston College center with mediocre athleticism, but a really nice 3-point shot.
So... I'm not.
How would that go over in Tahoe on your weekend?
Yeah, the kids were bored.
Quinten Post.
The kids were bored. I'm not going to lie. The kids were bored. But look, conceptually, it fits. We'll see if the guy can play. Well, we'll find out.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, do we have to watch him play, or do we know everything we need to know? I mean, like, it sounds like what he does is what you see on the highlights, which is just he doesn't look athletic, but he's a 7-footer who can shoot the three. So it's like, if he is just that, if he's just an unathletic, non-runner, non-passer, non-scorer, non-rebounder, but he can, give you 8 to 10 minutes at the 5 spot as a stretch 5, and he can make an open 3, that might be enough. You know what I mean? As far as Waters goes, Anthony Slater says the plan is not to trade Waters, because I think a lot of the speculation early was, they're just going to group his contract, send him somewhere else. That Slater says the plan is to keep Waters past his Saturday guarantee date, and he's due to make $2.2 million this year. They like him as a cheap, deep rotation option off the bench. I will say this: I did a live stream last night, and there were a bunch of people who claimed that they were OKC Thunder fans who think that this is a steal of a pickup. Lindy Waters III. He supposedly plays a decent defense. And another guy, like, I saw him, Damon, on one time. All 4 of his teammates were already up floor, and he's dribbling it up and he walks right into a deep, like 5 or 6 feet beyond the arc, behind the line 3-point attempt, and it went down. And it's like, it was the kind of attempt that either makes every guy on the team hate you, or you're really like already the proven 3-point marksman entity and you're given the green light, because he like walked into a 3 and parked it from way deep with everybody down floor. You know what I mean? And he was like the last guy to come up floor. So I think Waters is really a great shooter. I guess the question is he the draft pick that you make when you know that Klay Thompson's walking out the door?
Well, that's exactly where we're going with guys who know how to shoot a 3, because if you are to lose Klay Thompson, you're losing one of the 2 guys on this team that really knows how to shoot a 3. It's Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and everyone else is a work in progress. So, yeah, it feels like they are starting to stock some 3-point shooting percentages in the wake of the other little bit of, not news, but rumor and innuendo that we want to share with you here today. Real GM, the website, says that both the 76ers, who could have over $60 million in cap space this summer, have an interest in signing Klay Thompson, and the Denver Nuggets, especially if they were to lose Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, would be interested in making a run at Klay Thompson. So those are 2 teams to look for in terms of pursuing Klay. It looks like Klay is all about pursuing what free agency will look like for him, more than he is interested in just playing the waiting for the Warriors' best offer game. If an offer is even coming, we don't know. I wouldn't be surprised to see Klay Thompson on another team next year.
Oh, I wouldn't either. I mean, this free agent period, it just, I don't want to accuse the Warriors of anything nefarious, but I just think that all this talk of like, we are desperate. We are Mike Dunleavy and Steve Kerr, we are desperate to have Klay return. No, you're not. You're desperate to have Steph believe that you wanted Klay to return. That's what you're desperate for.
Well, you're desperate to get that soundbite, that overwhelmingly positive soundbite out there.
But do you, they could have done this any number of ways. They could have. I don't think they're desperate for Klay. I think they want Klay at their price, and that's it. I don't think they want, and I don't blame them. They pay. Klay Thompson needs to understand and read the room that if he wants to be here, the Warriors already extended for him when they didn't need to. When he tore up his body and they said, you know what? Yeah, you can't help us, but we're still going to, give you this extension. He's made tens of millions of dollars that he probably, you could argue, on other teams wouldn't have made already. So to me, it's like if I was Klay and I had $250 million of career earnings on the floor and another $150 million from Anta in my bank account, I would, and if I really did love the Bay as he claims to love the Bay, then I would just work it out and take whatever, the team wanted to throw me, as long as it wasn't ridiculous. But I get the feeling that he's, not wired that way, that he attaches every bit of self-worth to his dollar figure, which is sad. And I think that if he's not going to get paid top dollar, then I think he's going to join Denver and go for the ring.
And would you begrudge him that?
No, I don't begrudge him anything. I think it's unfortunate, but there's all kinds of people that make all kinds of decisions that don't make sense.
Klay Thompson looking for a ring in Denver makes an awful lot more sense to me than Klay Thompson trying to get the best deal he can out of the Orlando Magic, right? Like Klay Thompson shouldn't be concerned with any Orlando Magic anything based on the fact that he's Klay Thompson. And one of the one-ups he could maybe have in his career would be I actually ended my career with more rings than Steph Curry because I won as many rings as Steph did in Golden State, and I added one more with my next team when I left Golden State. Like that would be.
If you're Klay, it's not hard to envision like what would be, getting over on the Warriors. Go to a place that, gets to the playoffs like Denver and can go further and wind up in the conference finals or the finals and have another big game in a series winning effort. And suddenly you've gotten over, you're victorious. So if that's what he needs, God bless him. I just think that Golden State, has already paid him a lot of money. If there's a 2-year, $50 million offer out there for him, God bless him. Go take it. That's what I would say. And I mean, he's still one of my favorites, but there's no question. I mean, he's the guy who's having a hard time coming to grips with this chapter of his NBA life.
Yeah.
And it's awkward. He was the ultimate fit in. Like, he would have fit in on any championship team. Hand to glove, he would have fit perfectly on his way up because he guarded anybody you needed him to guard. He, shot the 3 ball. He had fun. He was joyous. But now there's he's like a big downer.
Look, I talk to Steve Kerr every week of a basketball season for more than 5 years. And he used to say that there is no more hands-off player he has ever, coached or been around as a teammate, as a contemporary, than Klay Thompson. Like, Klay Thompson was literally the most effortless to coach basketball player he's ever been around or had the privilege to coach. And that has changed. Klay Thompson is no longer an effortless player to have in a locker room. He got emotional. He got pouty. He got a little dauber down on things. And also, there's just the cold, hard fact that even though he's still giving you 17 a night, which is legit, he's now given up at least 11 points that he used to not give up. I mean, Klay Thompson, you could just say, hey, you're on Kobe tonight. You're on Jamal Murray tonight.
Right.
You're
no longer has that lateral agility. And
right. You are on the other team's most scary guard or small forward this game. Klay can't play like that anymore.
The other problem is that there's no way to replace him if he goes. So it's like, I understand the people that are like, keep him, sign him, because they are looking at it going, well, your choices are sign him or let him walk and don't replace him. And that's really, I get the feeling that the Warriors are going to make some decisions that are in their best interest financially. But I just don't believe them when Kerr's like, we are desperate to have Klay back, and Dunleavy's, we're desperate to have Klay back. No, you're not. I don't believe that at all.
Not that
I think you're desperate to have Steph Curry believe that you gave Klay every avenue to return if he so chooses. The last thing you want to be viewed as in any way, treating Klay badly, but to the fans who love him and Warrior Nation, but most specifically to Steph Curry. I think that's what they're about.
Let me ask you,
I think they're really about dipping under that second apron and making sure they get the financial reset.
They have guaranteed it. They now cannot go over that second apron with the cash deal that they made to trade back in and pick up Lindy, the old Lindy Hop.
Lindy Waters the third.
Let me ask you this. We don't have a lot of data points, and the data points that we have are pretty positive, right? I mean, I think that everyone's impressed with Brandon Pajemski and really impressed with Trace Jackson Davis based on where they were drafted. I think that not making the big rash trade is something that some folks are holding against Mike Dunleavy. I think he's been pretty reasoned in his approach here. We haven't got a lot of data points out of Mike Dunleavy Jr. I like him, Larry. I think he's actually fit for the job. I think he's got the right demeanor. I think he's got the snake-bitten career as a former player that sort of, he understands the NBA. He's seen the good parts. He's seen the bad parts. He's seen over-delivering on expectations. He's had a direct hand in under-delivering on expectations. He was an okay player.
He's better than an okay player.
He's a tick above okay. He was a tick above okay.
He was better than okay, yeah. I mean, he was a third pick in the draft. He was a starter. He was a good player. I mean, he wasn't the star that some, predicted for him, but but he wasn't a bust either. I mean,
with very little information to say he's done this or that, what he has done, I like Dunleavy's approach. I like the fact that he is sort of a reasonable dude and calm, and I think does a good job in these press conferences. And you can say, well, he talked about how Jordan Poole is going to be a Warrior for life right up until he traded him. Well, that's what a GM does. Everything is business as usual until things become unusual. I think Dunleavy's the right guy for the job. I do.
I think you're right. we don't have a lot of information. I mean, I saw that picture of their war room and I was like, God, what a miserable place to be. You've got Joe sitting there, I know everything. I'm a basketball savant. I'm a wannabe GM. Then he nepotismed his kids. So he's got 2 kids. He doesn't have 1 kid. He's got 2 kids who are in his front office. So now you got to steer clear of Joe and his 2 kids. And then, you got Dunleavy there looking like, I'm not real. I'm in charge only if this goes bad. You know what I mean? It's like, if this thing goes well, so other people will take the credit. I just think the Warriors, it's like they were lost. Then they had Jerry West. They had this great period with Bob Myers. They had Travis Schlenk. And now it just seems like they got an awful lot of people in their war room that don't know shit about basketball, as far as there's no basketball resume for Joe Lacob. There's no real basketball resume for Kirk and Kent Lacob. I mean, it's like he's just got his kids in there, and we'll see. Elliot Wolf is the GM of the Patriots, so it's not like they're the first nepotism, ruling the day kind of organization. But we'll see. Let's just chart where they, before we call Joey Lightyears, let's see where it goes from here. Let's just see where it goes from here. He bought the team that already had Steph Curry. And if you look at the Warrior drafting, yeah, they kicked butt this year with Podziemski and with TJD. But between Jordan Bell, Patrick McCaw, Alan Smiley-Geach, Jacob Evans, I mean, this, Joe and his kids have fucked up the draft pretty consistently, actually.
I mean,
if you just look at their list of players that they drafted. There's Klay, there's Draymond, those are good picks. No doubt. And there's a couple scattered in there, but you know what I'm saying? There's an awful lot of swing and miss there.
There is. It's an inexact science. By the way, did you see that the Detroit Pistons are just about to just waive James Wiseman? There's over.
A rumor that the Warriors might pick him up.
Okay. I mean,
why not? I guess. I mean, at
right.
this point, it's a flyer on nothing. I mean, it's a flyer on, it's a low cost flyer on a guy who you thought had, not you, but they thought had tremendous potential at one point.
I can't wait to see that press release. Did you know that he speaks Mandarin?
Yeah, great. Let him teach. One other Warrior note. I don't know if you saw this one. I don't know if you were getting to this, but the Warriors are blocking Andrew Wiggins from playing in the Olympics for Team Canada.
I was getting to get to that.
Oh, you are? Okay, go.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
no.
Go
so I saw it this morning. A guy named Doug Smith, who covers the Raptors, says that Andrew Wiggins will not be a part of the Canadian Olympic team, and that the Warriors have had some influence in that. And apparently, the Warriors do have a extracurricular clause that they can hold over Andrew Wiggins and tell him that he can't go play for Team Canada. Which, by the way, makes Team Canada a little bit more locked in and intense just by having him not on the team. Yeah, Andrew Wiggins will not be part of the Canadian Olympic team. The last thing the Warriors would ever want would be for him to go off to Paris this summer, get hurt, and then not be able to involve him in some sort of trade or transaction, which they're still trying to do, apparently. Them's the breaks. What can I tell you? And Andrew, here's the thing. I'm completely
Do you fault them? I mean, a lot of people are banging on them.
Oh, no. Dude, protecting their own interests and getting as much out of Andrew Wiggins, since he's given them so little since the NBA Finals in Boston, is what the Warriors need to do.
Yeah, this rubs me wrong on several fronts. One, I don't blame the Warriors. It's their asset. They don't owe anything to Team Canada. And who cares?
Shit with or without him anyways. So there you go.
Yeah. But I mean, and they don't owe anything to Team Canada. I mean, and I don't know. It kind of rubs me wrong, to be honest, that a guy who's got $200 million in the bank and made $26 million this year or whatever he made in Andrew Wiggins and took a number of weeks off, it seemed like, or definitely a number of games off because of his own personal whatever he had going on.
A lot of PT,
so you got personal stuff going on in the middle of an 82 game season on my dime when I'm paying you $24 million,
2 years in a row,
$26 million.
2 years
now, 2 years in a row. But now you want me to look the other way as one of, an asset that I'm trying to divest myself of. Now I'm going to take a risk. I'm trying to sell my Benz and now I'm street racing it. It's like, what? Probably shouldn't be street racing your Benz.
Yeah, this is going to sound cruel, but I don't care about Andrew Wiggins or how he feels about anything. I don't. Like, to me, Andrew Wiggins is in the you're just an asset at this point in time. That's it. I don't want Andrew Wiggins to ever play another game for the Golden State Warriors. I detest watching him play basketball. All I see is what he isn't, not what he is. All I see is how little he actually cares about trying or playing hard. All I see is the leadership role that he continues to reject time and time again. When he is asked to step into the void, he never does. Andrew
His
Wiggins
nickname should be Andrew Half Speed Wiggins because he plays about half speed most of the time.
He is. He's the NBA equivalent of an incredibly talented yawn.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if he should have a instead of his nameplate, it should say "I got paid" on the back, because the guy got paid. It's kind of like the Ben Simmons thing. There's people going, "Why can't Ben Simmons learn to shoot a free throw?" Well, it's funny when you give somebody $200 million, they lose their motivation to work. Often,
it's the Marvin.
That's the case with Simmons, but it very well could be.
It's the Marvin Hagler line. Talking about it's really hard to get your road work in as a boxer when you're sleeping in 10,000 thread count sheets.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I'm sorry that Andrew Wiggins doesn't get to play for Team Canada.
He would potentially, right? Like if they trade it, when can they trade him? Can they trade him right now?
Sure, you can trade him.
Yeah. So if they traded him soon, and his new team, because they're not planning on trading him, gave the thumbs up, then he could play for Team Canada. So, if if you're a Team Canada Olympic basketball fan, see if you can. Someone who can hook the Warriors up with a good offer before.
Someone who's known as Warriors Media. I don't know how formal of Warriors Media this commenter is. But it said he's been going through some stuff over the last 2 seasons, which sucks, but he's been so bad. Again, we're all going through things. Everybody's going through things.
It sounds like we're like the ultimate cold, callous. We don't care. Life is life, right? I mean, we have parents, they have illnesses, we have girlfriends and wives, and there's infidelity and relationships break and there's tragedy and there's all kinds of challenging things through life for sure. And I've heard that. It seems like that gets thrown out a lot. This guy's going through some stuff.
Who isn't?
Yeah. I mean, and it's kind of like, I don't know. How are we supposed to react to that? On one hand, you could be like, who the fuck cares? On the other hand, you could be like, you know what? Basketball is secondary to real tragedy. If there's real tragedy, it's like, I don't know. I'm not sure where to weigh in on that. You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't want to be insensitive and be that cretin who's just like, separate your life from your job and show up for work. But on one hand, it's like, cry me a river. I don't really care. I don't, it's not everybody's got problems, Jack. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's like, there's lots of different ways how the guy got paid millions and millions of dollars and didn't show up for weeks and weeks and weeks. And everybody just covered for him forever. Right. And it's like, I'm sure he had something very pressing going on in his life.
How about this? Bonte, asked more pointed
95.7 The Game.
Yeah, our good friend Bonte Hill from 95.7 The Game. And Warrior television pre and post game host asked more pointed questions about Andrew Wiggins's absence and what was the genesis of it. And you had Kareth Burke just jumping on Bonte, how dare you try to go ahead and get to something that's personal? And Bonte basically said, you're a reporter, how dare you not? Because let me
do your job.
Let me tell you what would happen in New York. In New York, everyone would know where Andrew Wiggins is, why he's there, and what's happening. But we'd say, oh, it's a personal matter. Therefore, no further explanation needed. No, that's not how sports works. It's not.
No.
And here's the thing.
She needs a lesson in big market media.
What I do know. Well, she also probably needs no lessons because her modus operandi has her going to Paris to cover the U.S. Olympic team. So again, when you're the house organ, they're going to want you to play the organ.
Yeah. But once again, if you want to leave it alone, leave it alone. But if you're telling me to leave it alone, shut the fuck up.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I would be. I would be my, you want to, sit there and talk endlessly about, what snack food Steph Curry, chomps on at 4:30 before the game and call it news. Go for it. But don't blame me if I'm actually chasing down real news.
Do you know that he really likes popcorn? We'll be right back with an expose.
Coming up next, what's in Steph's lunch? We get into the brown bag next. I mean, I mean, that's what media has become. We're sitting here with Gabe Kapler. What would you grade that pork chop you just ate?
This is why
I'd give it a 65. It had a smoky flavor.
This is why
a little bit of applesauce. Bit of applesauce. Yeah, Pavs. I'd give that thing a 65.
This is why Ray Ratto hates everybody. This is why, because Ray Ratto never wanted to ask anybody what you eating for lunch. Not once. Not once.
Let me kiss your ass.
If at the end of the day.
And by the way, Warrior Media, I'm just a podcaster, not actually part of the Warriors. LOL.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We got clarification.
I thought that was what was
We're getting this random question too. Samuel says, Larry, why are the Padres media hating on Elliot Ramos? I don't know. Why is the Padres media hating on anybody?
Right. I don't think Padres media gets to judge anything.
You're living in San Diego. You're like 19. You're like 3 miles away from the world's greatest zoo.
Did I
go
hear
smoke a J and go look at the rhinos?
Did I hear that? There's like Blake Snell doesn't like the pressure that he's under to come back. Did I hear that right?
The problem is they paid me $62 million and now they're expecting me to pitch and pitch well. And I'm not ready to pitch well. I've made 6 starts. I'm 0-3 with a 9.31 ERA. Somebody get John Shea off my ass.
If you're hurt, you're hurt. I get it. But if you're not hurt, pick up the ball and throw it.
How soft is that guy? Yeah. I mean, seriously. I'm Blake Snell, brought to you by Charmin. Yeah, bro. Here's how it works. You sign a $62 million deal. You skip spring training. You don't pitch at all. When you do, you tear, you pull your groin. Now you're in the minor league rehabbing. Yeah, the Giants, here's what they want back for the $62 million. Somebody who can fucking pitch.
It's really not that big of an ass.
Sure. I'm shocked. Farhan wants to get something out of his $62 million. How dare he? It's just, can you imagine that?
I don't know why.
This guy would be, I wish this guy played for the Phillies. Do you know how bad this guy would be ripped in Philadelphia?
They would have
already signed for $62 million on a 2-year deal, went 0-3 with a 9.51 ERA in the first 6 starts, spent 2 trips on the DL, skipped spring training, and is now saying, they're rushing me back. They're trying to get me to pitch, and I'm not ready to pitch.
They burn his house down.
Bro.
They would burn his house down.
Here's my media, Larry Krueger media advice. There's this one. No comment. No comment is way better than bitching when you've got $62 million on a 2-year deal and you have officially sucked. I mean, I don't know what to say. What I can't help you after that.
Guy out of the stands level sucked. Like it's not like an ERA that's 5 and disappointing. His ERA is twice the age of my oldest son. His ERA is 9.
I mean, the Giants have like 2 starters.
By the way,
Giants Dodgers. We get the Shohei Ohtani show tonight.
Oh, dude, he's going to hit a 470-foot home run.
Listen, look at this one from Adrian. He says Snell would get eaten alive by the East Coast media. Forget East Coast. They'd kill him in Chicago. They'd kill him in Cleveland. They'd kill him almost everywhere. Here, it's like, let's go have a pork chop and grate it. You know what? We're cooking tri-tip with Kyle Harrison.
Hey,
let's
everybody,
put a little garlic butter on that. Oh, yeah. Oh, the marbling.
Did you know that Blake Snell's got a cat? He's got an overweight cat. Let's do an expose about an overweight cat. And let's have 19 different Giants fans then make a fake Twitter handle about Blake Snell's cat. And now I'm Blake Snell's cat on Twitter. And aren't we all cute?
Yeah. Giant. I mean, seriously, there's a section of Giants fans that would much rather talk about your comfort bunny that was sitting in section 19 than actually talk about the bullpen or something. You know what I mean? It's like, that was a comfort bunny.
And what I don't understand
is Glenn Close from I Will Not Be Ignored, Dan. From
the people that
remember that movie where she was Michael Douglas.
She boils the bunny.
She boiled the bunny. I will not be ignored, Giants. I have a comfort bunny.
But I mean, seriously, like, and what's awful is that you've got Dwayne Kuiper, who, by the way, was like a stone ass hard competitor who didn't like a lot of people.
He went in spikes high.
And you got, Krug, who's a much more affable, likable guy, but was still like a
grab some pine meat, grab some pine
teeth major leaguer. And you got both of these guys having to appeal to like some San Francisco audience, just candy assing and tiptoeing around the comfort bunny. Like, that's a normal good thing. Like, good for her. Good for her that she's found her true self with her comfort bunny. Isn't that nice that, whatever it takes to get through the day. No, if you need to walk around with a comfort bunny to get through your day, what you should do is put a gun in your mouth and pull the trigger. Like, that's ridiculous.
I'm not sure if I'll go there, but it's not a great look. It's not a great independent look. Bring a comfort bunny to your next job interview. See how that goes.
I'm going to tell you right now, Larry.
This is Walter. This is Walter. He loves carrots. And by the way, if you hire me for this HR position, Walter will be sitting on my lap. Mm-hmm. And you can come by my desk and feed him carrots.
You've helped me an awful lot as I've moved into this new digital space. I thank you for the exposure and the awareness that you've brought to your audience and the work that we do together. I love Wake Up. People love Wake Up. This is a show that's going to be dominating this upcoming football season, and there's no doubt about it. The minute I see you stroking a bunny like a Bond villain in any videos we do together, I am just going to log on. I'm just click. I'm going to go. I don't want to see you within a country mile of a comfort bunny.
This is my bunny, Walter. Yeah, I'm not, I should be a better animal person. We do have a dog. Did I tell you my second son, Ben, got paid by one of our friends to watch their cat and dog this week because they went on a trip, right? They paid him, by the way. They paid him. Guess how much they paid this kid for like 7 days of watching one cat and one dog? What would you think?
$500.
$1,400.
I'm in the wrong business.
$1,400. Oh my God. Anyway, wait, first day he goes to watch it, Damon.
1,300. Who turned down 1,300 before they went to 1,400?
Yeah, Farhan said, "Hey, what the hell? Why not 19 million?"
Jung Hoo, let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. Jung Hoo Lee was he offered 15. I think Jung Hoo wanted 3 times that. But no. But the first day he goes over there to watch the cat and the dog, immediately, like he opens the door, the cat bolts.
So he's
doesn't show up for 2.5 days. Thinks the cat's dead. Thinks the cat's just gone. And I said, well, what do you do? I mean, I don't even know that. I mean, I have no idea what you would even do. He's like, I walked outside and I called the cat, I called it, and I walked around the block and I called it, and it didn't show up. Didn't show up the next day. Didn't show up the next morning. Thought the cat was dead. 2.5 days later, Cat just rolls back in.
Cats are like that. Cats,
Hey, what the hell?
They'll go out on a little patrol. They'll find their way back. It's kind of amazing. What would be even better, like the story to this, the way I wanted.
What did that cat eat for 2 days?
Was the people come back from vacation and Ben is like, your dog's good, your cat's dead. That'll be $1,400.
You know what? It's not your cat, but it's a similar looking cat.
It's cat-ish.
It's
cat-like.
Your cat had a white spot on its head. This cat's got a white spot on its head. Can we just pretend it's your cat? Chris Taylor says, hilarious show today, guys. Making my workday go by a lot faster.
That's what we're trying to do. That's the goal here.
Do you have a comfort bunny, Chris? Chris Topher. Do you have a comfort bunny? Vic Ferrari. Whoa. Who is a comfort bunny? That if you're some Giants fan from a couple years ago. Remember that?
If your comfort bunny isn't a former like Playboy playmate, you're doing it wrong.
My comfort bunny is Charlotte Kemp. You can look her up. She dated Gary Fensick. Niners_worldwide says, I'm watching my friend's cat right now, and he's not paying me anything. Then why are you doing it?
It's a friend.
You know how many girlfriends I pretended to like their cat in college? Larry, do you like my cat? I'm like, oh yeah, I love your cat. Are you kidding me? Oh yeah. Gee, how come you say you love my cat, but you never want to hold her? Yeah, I don't want to take the joy away from you. You know, it seems like you love holding her. I just like being around her, like in the same room. How many guys lie about liking cats just to keep everything copacetic?
There's a joke about pussy in here that I won't even bother making.
Don't.
But I'll say this,
Robert Prado. I love your pussy cat. Thank you, Robert.
When I was dating Jillian, we had just started to date each other.
You pretended to like a cat?
No. Jillian's not a cat gal. She had a dog, and she didn't just have a dog. She had a pity mix. Like, this is a dog that could pull a sled dog. This thing was yoked up, jacked, and I love that breed. And as soon as I saw him, this is a dog that intimidates people. Like, you look at him and you go, uh-oh, that's not a dog who I would want to. Like, I run up to him and I'm just hugging him.
It's not Penny. It's not Penny, the golden retriever.
No, I love this dog. We are in a hotel room. Jillian is getting ready and she turns around and there's me in bed spooning the dog. And that's the moment she was like, I think I'm going to marry this guy.
Wow. That was the moment.
The dog and I got
He's a keeper.
He likes me.
That Damon's a keeper. Raider Luke, Larry hated their cat but loved their kitty. Thank you. Vic Ferrari. Lying about loving a pussy to get pussy. Classic.
No, come on. We're better than this. He does have a lion, though, as his actual avatar.
Mark 187. Larry has some serious catitude. Thank you. Yeah, no, there were so many times. Do you like my cat? Yeah, are you kidding me? I love it.
Here's the thing. I wouldn't have.
They never want to come when you want. They never want to. Like, if you're like, you walk into the door. The dog comes over, greets you. The dog wants to sit at your feet. You're talking in the living room. She's in the living room. I go talk in the family room. She gets up and parks her feet near me in the family room. Dogs are social. Cats, like, you could be in somebody's house for like a half hour, not even know they have a cat. And then they don't come up to you. And then all of a sudden you sit on the couch and they walk on the back and their tail kind of rubs across your head or around your neck. And it's like, dude, your cat is creeping me out.
To me, like, the whole dog or cat thing isn't a zero-sum game. I like both. I'm a dog guy through and through, but I don't dislike cats. I like cats. I especially like social cats. I used to have a couple of cats. One was very aloof. The other one would come and sit on your shoulder. It was fantastic.
I had a buddy who called everybody. He would always refer to people as cat. Yeah, did you see that cat? He always, we're talking about a player. Oh man, I love that cat. Called everybody cat.
All right, cat.
We got this one from Steve Cass. He says, Sports Illustrated just reported Brandon Aiyuk will sign a $29 million contract. Didn't mention guaranteed money. Is this report true? Damon, is there anything that you can do to check on the validity of Steve Cass's Sports Illustrated has reported Aiyuk will sign a $29 million contract.
I'm looking, I'm going to go
we do have video of him at the facility, so that was a couple hours ago. Maybe they've gotten it done. Maybe that's why he's in town.
Right. Maybe there is some on-premises something happening, but for any and all news, you go to Adam Schefter. He doesn't have it. Let me go to
we're not even sure this is Friday because Schefter hasn't reported it yet. This could still be Thursday. On the hooks as I look forward to Larry and Damon in the morning. When I saw it was about basketball, I went outside and pulled weeds.
Well,
come on.
We're gonna have to talk about Kevin about that thumbnail.
Come on. Doesn't seem like it's bothering the audience now.
Warriors
got a lot of people in here.
Warriors wake up. Should be good. You should be.
We got Vic Ferrari. This is more interesting than hearing about possibly signing guys or maybe trading for a guy. Are you saying that you didn't like my who's going to be available later this summer segment earlier? Okay, we got this one. The Warriors have a chance to sign both Klay and Paul George. I hope that means CP3 and Wiggins will be gone. If they, from what I've heard about Paul George, now, Damon, you maybe have more knowledge on this. From what I've heard is that Paul George maybe still wants, the reason that there's a lot of encouragement that the Warriors will end Paul is because supposedly PG is wanting to stay in California. Now, if that's the case, I mean, what he's played for the Clippers. Yeah, it's Lakers, Kings, Warriors, and the Warriors make a lot of sense. And I would love to see Klay come back because, to me, I really believe that sports is best when players play in markets where people appreciate them and respect them. Like Klay Thompson moves the needle in the Bay Area. He's not moving the needle in Denver. He's just going to be the final piece to the puzzle if they get over the top. And he's probably not even going to have that kind of impact if he goes to Orlando. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know. Like Buster Posey should be a Giant and Kirby Puckett needed to be a Twin and George Brett was a Royal. And it's like, I like, free agency and players moving around, but I do think there's something special about the guys who stay in a certain market and are beloved in that market. Klay is beloved in this market.
Well,
so I hope he stays. I really do.
First of all, this would probably be laughed at online, but what is really more valuable to Klay Thompson's legacy? Picking up one more ring somewhere else or being a career Golden State Warrior. What would really be more valuable to him? And
I mean, he's already a Hall of Famer.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, he's already a Hall of Famer. He's got 4 rings. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's a great question. Hold on.
Chris Hofer says, I don't have a comfort bunny. I have you too. Thank you very much.
Raider, man, I might make a t-shirt. I may make a t-shirt, wake up t-shirt. I don't have a comfort bunny. I have you two. That might be the perfect quote on the back side of the Krueger Damon wake up shirt.
Wake up logo is
wake up in the front. Our 2 logos maybe on the sides and then on the back. I don't need a comfort bunny. I have you two. Raider Luke, Paul George only played 70 games in a contract year. Big durability issues.
Oh, every single time I'm leaning into it. This is a big Clipper game. Either he or Kawhi isn't playing in it. It's just that's the way that franchise operates. It's weird.
They're resting.
Yeah,
we got this one.
Or he's legitimately hurt. He's pulled a hammy, whatever. I mean, look, Paul George is a really good basketball player, but
yeah.
Is he going to change the arc of the Warriors back into you are now favored to win an NBA title? No.
I mean, I don't know what to make of the Warriors, to be honest. Like if they ever get into the playoffs and they've got Steph Curry and a decent surrounding cast, you almost feel like they've got a chance. But then you look at how many teams in the West and how loaded they are and how young they are and how much size they have. And then it's hard to picture. It's like, I kind of feel like, I want to say that Steph's got a chance to win any series that he's healthy and rested. Right. But at the same time, it kind of feels like they're done winning championships.
Well, that's before you factor in Quinten Post, Larry. Quinten Post is a stretch. Is a stretch five who's going to hit.
He's 2024 Bill Laimbeer. He's Bill Laimbeer with a a little bit better attitude. August Pierre says report saying the Niners deal allegedly on the table for Aiyuk is 4 years, $112 million. $112 million. Let's see.
I mean, what's the guarantee on that, right? I mean, that's what really matters. What's the guarantee?
Well, that's 28 a year. So that's not 30. So that's the 4 years, 112. I was thinking that he would get in the neighborhood of 75 million in guarantees, closer to 50 million in 100% guaranteed. You know what I mean? There's the 100% guaranteed, like fully guaranteed, and then there's the guarantees that aren't fully guaranteed. I would say I'm on Ross St. Brown. I think got 76 million guaranteed, but then fully guaranteed, I think it was closer to 40.
Right.
So I think
the deal. That's 28 million. And so the
28 million a year.
The Mike Silver report from a couple weeks ago was 26.
Right.
28.
And I'm on Roz at 28.5, right?
28 would be the come up that you and I both said sounded sort of reasonable. You're not at 30, which is, the bridge too far number. If there truly is today a 4-year, $112 million deal on the table, averaging 28 million a year, and more than, let's call that, 80 of it, Larry, is guaranteed, and Brandon Aiyuk doesn't sign that, he doesn't want to be here.
And he does want to be here.
I think.
Don't
he
you
does.
think?
Yeah.
I believe the Niners want him to be here.
Oh, there's no doubt.
And I believe he wants to be here.
By the way, I also think that if that is a legitimate offer,
that's a win. Niners.
There's nothing but respect in that offer. That is not a disrespectful offer to Brandon Aiyuk.
No,
but not a below market value offer.
It's fair to me. That is the compromise. Like on the live stream last night, I predicted that it would get done for 29 million a year and 75 million guaranteed and closer to 50 million fully guaranteed. But maybe, between 40 and 50 million fully guaranteed. So that's what I was thinking yesterday. So if they can get him for 28, heck, to me, that's a slight win for the Niners, but still, compensates Aiyuk handsomely. Yeah.
Parag gets to say he did his job. Everybody gets to do their job. Everybody's happy. I hope it's done. I hope that this rumor comes to fruition, and this is something that's officially wrapped up on a Friday news dump.
Robert Prado says 127 million.
126 million.
126 million. And then it goes to next year, and then the next year, and then the year after that. And then Zito got all pissed at Ratty. Don't talk about my money.
And that,
by the way, the post
got more pissed at Ralph when Ralph was like, "Wait, you gave like $10,000 to charity? What is this?
You're not going to give more to charity? Come on, Barry. You're here, Paisan. Are you really disappointing me? I was thinking maybe we could have an event at Amici's. And I love the burnt crust, you're right. And I asked for extra garlic, and then I asked them to put it in a paper bag. And then I do also get the lemon pepper wings. Don't get the atomic. They're a little too hot. They're a little too spicy. But, you got to go hot. You just can't go atomic.
Yeah, there you go. Adrian Vizcaya. It's a cool name. He says Post's draft comp was Troy Murphy.
Hey,
if you can give us Troy Murphy numbers, that would be a steal for a late second-round pick.
Oh, come on. Of course. Yeah, Troy Murphy.
Big man who can shoot it.
Yeah, he wasn't bad. He was the best the Warriors had for a little while there. He also is the famous half of the Dunn Murphy sisters, which I coined. I don't think they like that.
I don't think.
August Peter. Larry, I really got to take a lead. You want to keep going here? Can I
go ahead. I'll read some.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Do what you got to do. August Pierre says same report said about 75 to 77 million guaranteed. So we'll see. We will see. 49ers 83, but with a dollar sign. I like that. He says that's not a report. It's in the middle of 26 to 30. Okay, so it's a compromise. I mean, that's what we're looking for on these deals. It's just some form of a compromise. Adrian Gutierrez, did the Niners win the Super Bowl last year with Brandon Aiyuk? So by paying him more money this year, the Niners are winning the Super Bowl. Don't buy it, and you have to pay Purdy. The Niners didn't win the Super Bowl, but I don't know if I would put that or hold Brandon Ayuk's feet to the fire for them not winning the Super Bowl. It wasn't like he dropped some key pass. He did fall down, I guess, when he was open. He beat, what am I saying? He beat Snead off the back end, off the backside there, and Chris Jones broke through, and Purdy didn't have enough time to find Aiyuk. Otherwise, he probably catches the winning touchdown there at the end. We've got this one from Han Solo Dolo. If the Warriors do sign Paul George and they get rid of Wiggins, does Klay go to the bench and Paul George and Kuminga start? That's if they can keep Kuminga. It's so funny that you bring this up, Han Solo, because I was sitting in for Damon on 95.7 The Game last year, and we had Steve Kerr in their regular time slot. And I asked her, maybe Klay come off the bench? What do you think? I mean, is it time to consider that? Would you? And I couldn't even get the question fully formed before he scoffed at it. Was like, no, come on, no. So that's, to me, if the number one reason to move on from Klay Thompson is to protect Steve Kerr from himself, because Steve Kerr can't get current with Klay Thompson. He's too loyal to Klay and what Klay did for him in the past, and he just can't. I was just mentioning how I sat in for you on the radio, and I asked Kerr when you guys had him on, and I was at regular time slot. I said, what do you think of Klay coming off the bench? And at least the idea of that, before I could even get the question fully formulated, he was scoffing and like, oh, no. The Han Solo here is saying, if they get Paul George and they get rid of Wiggins, does Klay go to the bench and Kuminga starts at the small forward and George starts at the 2 guard? I think Kuminga probably is, in your 5-man lineup, he's your 4. So like Draymond's your 5. Kuminga's your 4. Paul George is your 3. Pods is probably your 2. And then obviously Curry. That would be my guess. But I think Klay Thompson is ideally suited to coming off the bench and being that, the offensive focus of the second unit. I think that's where he's best. I mean, I like that role the best for him. What do you think, Damon? Uh-oh, Damon froze. Did I get the frozen Damon? We got this one. See if we can get Damon unfrozen. Steve Cass says if it's $80 million guaranteed, then I think he will sign. There you go. All right, let's hit a couple of these starred chats as Damon's trying to free himself up here. He had to go and come back. Here we go. We got this one from Tony BZ21. Aiyuk at the Niner facility, deal happening? I don't know. What's he doing there, right? There's no practice today. So I would say most likely if he's down there, especially they met the other day, maybe they got on the same page of the parameters. Okay, sounds good. A couple days to get our lawyers to draw up the paperwork. How about you show up on Friday and we'll sign it and we'll get ready to go forward together. That'd be my guess. I mean, when two sides meet face to face and they clarify things, and maybe some real negotiating got done there. Maybe they, all the posturing gets put aside and all the, everything gets down to the brass tacks. There you go.
I have no idea what just happened.
You froze on the way back. Sometimes the camera will do that if you leave. Like if I walk out, sometimes I'll come back and I'll notice the camera freezes sometimes. Tony Beasy says
I should pull in the Ike cutout when I leave, and that way they'll still think there's a human on the air or something, right?
There you go. Or we can do what I've got this one. I didn't at a moment's notice. Worst case scenario, Damon. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. Back in a few minutes. Stay tuned. Leave some more comments.
That's pretty good.
That's like that.
That's a good pee break sign. I should make one myself. I really should.
Back in a few minutes. Stay tuned. Leave some more comments.
Well, it's good to be back. Thanks everyone for waiting patiently for my return. I do appreciate it.
We have this one from Tony. Says Aiyuk's at the Niner facility deal happening. I was just going through some of the supers, and we have this one, not a super, but Mark 187. Does Trent Baalke have any thoughts on the Comfort Bunnies or the NBA draft?
Well, as long as that bunny's got one ACL, I don't want him hopping too much. You can't hop on one leg as well as you can jump off of both legs, and I like a challenge in a prospect. So, one ACL at a time.
No, but seriously, if this is Brandon Aiyuk in the facility today, after just meeting with them earlier this week, this is all good news.
Oh, I was saying that it probably, it makes sense. Okay, so they meet. Maybe they iron out a few details, and then they shake hands and they say, okay, how about this? We'll get our lawyers on it. We'll draw up the paperwork. How about roll into town on Friday, get this thing signed, and let's get down the road and get ready for camp. That would be my guess. I think him being at the facility is not indicative of nothing. I think it's indicative of something. And as far as Trent Baalke,
There was a guy who was drafted last night named Ron Holland. And you know what? He said he loved, who's his favorite musician? Teddy Pendergrass. You know what? I love Teddy Pendergrass. Way to go, Ron Holland. I hope you don't tear your ACL.
Is that real, by the way? Do we have any evidence of Trent Baalke giving love to Teddy Pendergrass?
No, but Ron Holland did tell Martha McNutt or whatever her name is. She
Monica
did the interview.
McNutt?
Monica something, who was interviewing last night. She obviously got the little anecdote that Ron Holland was a big fan of Teddy Pendergrass. She's like, she's like, you're a young guy. How do you like Teddy Pendergrass? He's like, I was on in the car. My dad
we
liked
have
it.
we have over 1,100 people just watching us on Twitter right now.
Wow.
So
come over and join us on YouTube.
Absolutely.
NG49 says, I call it now. Purdy with 4,500 yards passing, 40 touchdowns. This does feel like it could be the Brock Purdy bust out year this year, doesn't it?
What the hell was last year, right?
But this year it's got the full breakdown. This year he's had the full off season, so he's bigger, stronger, faster, smarter. Year 3, no rehab, getting field time with Cowing, field time with Pearsall, field time with Debo. You're leading the offseason, program. I think Purdy's headed for. Let's look at it this way. You see you see teams that have disappointing years, and a lot of times it's tied to the quarterback having a disappointing year. If Brock Purdy can improve 10, 20%, that might be enough to vault the 49ers past, whatever AFC team they play and win the Super Bowl. Purdy's improvement alone can be the impetus for them to win the Super Bowl this year.
So you're not a 49er content creator. You're not even a 49er fan, but I'm giving you $500 and you can only put it on one name to win NFL MVP. Brock Purdy would be a pretty good place to put that bet. He was awfully close.
Mahomes obviously would be the
sure, but that's the chalk. That's easy. My mom
that's
could walk
the chalk.
into a casino and make that bet. But I think that there's something to it.
I'd love to know the odds on that. What could you get on Purdy for the MVP right now?
By the way, I am searching.
You could probably get a pretty good price, I would imagine.
I am looking at every if it looks like I'm not paying attention to you, Larry, I am paying attention to you, but I'm Googling and typing in every single 49er local beat writer that I can think of. No one's even got the fact that Aiyuk is in the facility from a local media standpoint.
It seems like the local media doesn't necessarily break a lot of the Niner stuff.
No, but you think that they would at least be reacting to this story as it feels like it's developing in real time right in front of us right now. Maybe everyone is, still in bed, taking a little snoozer on a Friday morning. I don't know, but it's amazing how there's
summer
nothing
break in Tahoe.
Schefter's not on this. Rappaport's not on this. Jesse Palmer's been all over this, right?
I didn't know. I didn't even know. Is Jesse Palmer now a reporter?
Who's the guy?
Who are you thinking of? Mike Garafolo?
No, not Mike Garafolo.
Tom Pelissaro?
Pelissaro, I think, is the name that I'm stuck on right there.
Yeah.
No one's got anything on this.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably nothing on it yet, but it does seem like it aligns with their meeting. I mean, if you had a couple issues, and let's say you had 3 issues, and you solved a couple of them by talking face to face, maybe you solved another one 24 hours later, but between Lynch and the agent over the phone, and then they come to an agreement, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, you know what? We'll have our attorneys and legal counsel draw up the contract. It's going to take a day or two. That sounds about right. This should be right about when he signs.
By the way, here I do have a little bit of news for you, though, concerning the Warriors and Chris Paul. Adrian Wojnarowski.
That's today. That's the deadline today, right?
20 minutes ago, he said that the $30 million guaranteed has been pushed back. So they have moved the date back.
So they're trying to trade him.
Yes, this gives the Warriors more time to keep exploring trades.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing on that. Chris Paul supposedly wants to be a Laker, and LeBron wants him to be a Laker. There's also talk that, Chris Paul, there was people saying they maybe not return trip to the Clippers. I don't know if that's in the cards, but Chris Paul has invested interest. Nobody's going to pay Chris Paul $30 million in free agency. But if he re-ups with the Warriors don't save that money, but then they can trade him for somebody else who makes big bucks. You got to think of it this way. Who makes big bucks that, we're talking about big bucks. We're talking about $30 million for just Chris Paul, and you're probably going to include Wiggins in there. And now you're at 24. Now you're at $54 million for 2 players. Well, who makes that kind of ching?
Kevin Durant.
I was going to say Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine in Chicago makes a grip of cash. So what if you could get, some kind of deal done, 3-way deal involving, Wiggins and Paul and, LaVine, Paul George. I don't know. There's moving parts, but I mean, the way that works in the NBA, you got to match up contracts. And when you're talking about Chris Paul, I mean, I love the idea of this deadline getting extended, because if it didn't get extended, the Warriors would have had to decide today to either activate that $30 million option or not. And if they don't, that's good for their cap and he walks away, but it's not good for their roster because they get nothing for basically Jordan Poole, who became Chris Paul, who then becomes nothing. So that wouldn't be good. Now, if you can trade Chris Paul and activate that $30 million option, that means the team that gets him basically acquires Chris Paul on a 1-year, $30 million expiring deal that expires next year. And the Warriors could potentially get back a significant player that could help them win this year. That move doesn't help Joe, I don't think, as far as the money is concerned, on the cap and lowering their figure, but it does help them compete and maybe get in the top 4, maybe get in the playoffs, maybe make a run at some kind of a playoff run or title run with Steph Curry, if you can get the right kind of player coming back. But it's probably going to be a player that makes a grip of cash, that makes so much money that they're hard to trade. And that would be LaVine, because LaVine
a little bit of
$45 million or whatever.
A little bit of a distressed asset too.
A high-priced distressed asset. Yeah.
Right.
So that's kind of what we're looking at. Also, by the way, for you Giants fans,
Zion Williamson, just going to throw that out there.
What were we going to say?
Zion?
No, what were you going to say about Zion?
No, I'm just saying there's a distressed asset who's making a grip of cash.
Ooh, I don't know if he's that distressed at this point. That's a good one, though. There's a lot of talk. Who was it that was still going at? I think it's the Houston Rockets that are trying to make a big play for Zion.
I saw that the Houston Rockets might be trying to make a play for Kevin Durant, too.
Well, the Rockets are thinking big, and I loved what the Rockets did. They traded the 44th pick in the second round last night for A.J. Griffin. A.J. Griffin's a good player, man. We're talking about the Duke, small forward who can rebound and shoot, and I mean he's nice. For the 44th pick in the draft, I thought that was a phenomenal pickup. But I was going to say, no, on the San Francisco Giant front, the baseball amateur draft is around the corner. And the Giants, according to the reports I'm reading, are very much hot on the case of Cam Caminiti, who's Ken Caminiti's cousin, the late Ken Caminiti. He's a left-handed pitcher who throws 98 miles an hour, fastball 93 to 98. He's got a curve. He's got a slider. He's got a change. He was the Gatorade High School Player of the Arizona Baseball Gatorade High School Player of the Year. One of the best lefties. So who knows? The draft is coming up on the 14th, July 14th. Giants have the 13th pick. They're either going to take somebody that falls out of the top 10 that drops in their lap. If not, they're probably going to go after this kid Caminiti, who struck out 11 in the state championship win over Canyon del Oro to close out his high school career. So we'll see. But there you go. Ken Caminiti's cousin, Ken Caminiti unfortunately died, I think, 3 years before his cousin was even born. So he's never met his cousin, Ken Caminiti. But there you go. Cam Caminiti to the Giants with the 13th pick in the amateur draft coming up in about 2 weeks.
And then we're going to have the NHL draft, which is going to happen at
That's today.
Sphere in Las Vegas.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they're doing it at Sphere. So
that's cool.
Yeah, there's going to be an awful lot of graphics. It's going to be kind of a cool looking set. I mean,
that is cool. That would be cool.
Place is unbelievable. So we'll see what that
greatest concert venue of all time.
Most unique. It's
I mean, the Red Rock Amphitheater in outside of Denver.
Right. The gorge.
It's a pretty spectacular spot.
In Washington is special. There's a lot of special. Dude,
the Greek Theater. I think the Greek Theater is pretty freaking special.
That to me is one of the great venues of all time. There's nothing that you've ever seen in your life like Sphere, though. It changes entertainment.
Supposedly Hollywood Bowl is a great place to see a concert.
I've been there too. Awesome. I've seen fish just about everywhere.
Let me ask you this. I mean, I know it's to do with nothing, but why? What is it about fish that you love so much? Were you a Dead fan?
Yes, I was. And what I like so much is a combination of there are moments
vibe.
Yeah, there are moments musically where they're unbelievable. There are other moments where they're an absolute train wreck and they're embarrassing. And I'm afraid to tell you that I like this band, but it is the ultimate vibe. It is the crowd and that band get along in a way that no band and crowd has ever really interacted. It's just a good time. If you like, partying a little bit and going looking at some cool shit and lights like that, like I do and used to do, certainly, they certainly provide all of that for you. It is just, I can't explain it. You probably wouldn't like it. I always say about if you don't like fish, that's great because they're never going to come and bother you. They're never going to come looking for you. They're not going to annoy you like
they don't break into your house and go and show up in concert.
No, it's not Call Me Maybe where you can't get away from the song on the radio, no matter how much.
Carly Rae Jepsen, is that the Carly Rae Jepsen hit? I know my Carly Rae Jepsen.
You certainly do. But yeah, no, it's not a band that I would wish upon anybody. It's like a heroin habit. Like I really enjoy it, but you probably don't want this.
Wow.
And
Raider Luke says UFC is going to be hosting a one-time fight at the Sphere.
Yeah, that makes
sense.
Cool. There's going to be a lot of things going on at the Sphere.
We got this one from Bebop Jones. Fish shows are the best. Are people walking around like at the old Dead shows? Doses. A
little bit.
Doses. People selling tie-dye shirts. And
here's the thing, though.
The smell of patchouli in the air.
It's a little bit better smelling crowd than a Dead crowd. It really is. But
some of these Dead crowds back in the late 80s, it was like, dude, who has anybody showered?
Look at it this way. Jillian and I are going back to Mexico in late January this year. Fish plays in Mexico. And we're going back, just the two of us. We're not bringing the kids and the family and getting, a whole bunch of people this time. We're just doing it as cheaply as possible, but we're going to go. And it's the perfect vacation because it's a beach for Jillian during the day. And then it's the band that I like playing on the same beach at night. And so it's the perfect vacation. Because normally, Larry, I get so bored.
They play on the beach?
Right on the beach.
Dude, I saw, we went to Jimmy Cliff at the Radisson in Sac. The Radisson Hotel, and it was like 106 degrees. It was like July 18th, back in the early 90s. And Jimmy Cliff came to the Radisson in Sacramento. And the Radisson was a small hotel, but they had this little tiny stage and maybe 20 rows of seats, very small, then a little bit of cement, little grassy knoll, and then a swimming pool. And we went to the Jimmy Cliff concert and watched the entire concert in the swimming pool as we're just sitting there listening to Jimmy Cliff sing some incredible reggae.
Awesome. Yeah,
it was one of the most epic shows of all time.
We had a stage facing presidential suite. We went big one year. We had my mom come and my sister, and I mean, it was incredible. There I am sitting on a chair just watching sound check at 4 p.m. It was just awesome. By the way, Mark187 says, I thought it was cool that Fish performed Little Feat's Waiting for Columbus album in concert. Yes, that was one of their musical costumes. And they still crush Spanish Moon. By
Niners Worldwide says, Damon, have you ever been to Horning's Hideout?
No, I don't even know what that is.
I don't know either. And then we got this one from Raider Luke. The Crest Theater in Sac is an awesome venue. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good call. That's going to do it for us. I'm starting with Chase Sr. in about 10 minutes.
There's whiskey and bad cocaine. That poison. Yeah, little feet. Yeah, sure. Let's go.
I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that.
Okay.
All right. That's going to do it. That's going to do it for us.
There it is.
What do you got? What are you teasing? What are you doing at 11 today?
We're going to be talking a little bit about nepotism. We're going to be talking about how it is dotted sports and all forms of business. And, here's the thing. I guess I'm enough of a dad now to where LeBron and Bronny, I'm not offended by that. I'm really not. And
it's one thing to not be offended, but did you see the draft coverage when Woj and these guys, they're literally yelling at the audience. And I don't want to hear anything about nepotism. It's like,
no, this is absolutely nepotism happening. But nepotism,
this guy averaged 4 points a game. If this guy's name was Jones, he never would have been drafted. This is the worst example of nepotism.
He didn't have a 5-point scoring average, and he had a cardiac problem. That's There's no doubt.
We're talking about a 5'10" guard. It's the NBA.
He's only there because of who his dad is. But because of who his dad is, it does suggest that there could be something there. Maybe not now, but there could be. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. There is no greater.
But I mean, Woj got mad. I mean, he's literally yelling at the people, and all the people on the set were all mad too. I don't want to hear about nepotism.
Well,
I mean, why not just say, I don't think it's a big deal. Instead of trying to lecture. It's always a bad look when you start to lecture the audience on their takes. How about you just have a take and let everybody else worry about their own fucking takes?
What we do have, though, is such a unique situation. I mean, in your entire life, you are never going to see, someone who might be regarded as the best to ever play a sport have their underachieving son and manipulate a draft to the point where his agent is on the phone calling other teams. If you take this kid, he's going to Australia. Like the power move that the James family just pulled, and the power moves that LeBron has pulled this summer, where he got the extension that he wanted, his son drafted to the team that he plays on, and the coach that was his former podcast host named to head coach. Like LeBron is throwing around weight in his sport in a manner in which no athlete has ever been able to control the levers of power the way that LeBron is. And I'm not going to be offended by it, but we are going to talk about it and explore it a little bit. And obviously we're going to be sitting on any and all what's going on with Brandon Aiyuk. You tell Chase that I said hello. I will be watching that a little bit later. Hopefully everybody plans on stopping by Damon Bruce Plus a little bit later, and we'll give it all to you. And I look forward already to Monday, Larry. And it feels like we might have a little conclusion on Brandon Aiyuk to talk about together on Monday for Wake Up. So hopefully we do, brother. Good talking to you as always. Don't start Fish unless you can finish it, folks. Stay away.
Everybody go check out Fish. Check out Damon at 11. Watch me and Chase Sr. in about 90 seconds. And you know what? Let's be careful out there. Nobody blow an ACL. See you all Monday.